Stuart left the apartment exactly as he found it, clean, furnished, undamaged. 3 days later, his entire $12,000 deposit was gone. The reason wasn't written in the lease, it was written in a relationship. The landlord cited damage. Appliances misused, furniture worn, and property mishandled. But none of it had ever been mentioned before. And the reports didn't come from inspections. They came from someone else. Someone who had been inside the apartment regularly. His ex-girlfriend. Because this wasn't just a tenant-landlord situation. It was a relationship, and a heated one. To everyone's surprise, the person documenting the damage was also part of the conflict, and by the time Stuart realized what was happening, the documentation was already complete. This is a story about what happens when personal relationships control financial decisions.
Cheap rent, expensive emotions, and a deposit that disappear faster than trust.
Stuart moved from North Carolina to New England for a temporary internship, a short-term stay with limited budget. A small furnished studio met his needs, but the lease included one condition, a 4-month deposit.
Short stays mean less stability, so we secure the property up front.
$12,000 total.
4 months? That ain't deposit. That's hostage with paperwork.
The landlord accepted the payment and delegated property management to his daughter. She handled inspections, maintenance reports, tenant communication. She also needed stability. After a recent breakup, this role became more than administrative.
Dimitri? Oh, he was very hands-on, mostly with problems nobody asked him to solve.
Routine check-ins became frequent visits, professional boundaries blurred, and personal interests developed. She found Stuart different, structured, focused, measured in how he spoke and behaved, a contrast to her previous relationship.
She managing property and emotional recovery at the same time. Multitasking gone wrong.
Her former partner had also been involved with the property as a trusted handyman.
I think Nina went for Stuart to forget him, but that kind of rebound rarely ends well.
He was known for being efficient with repairs, but also difficult to work with. Neighbors described him as impatient. Some described his behavior as volatile, abusive. To Nina, the difference mattered. Stuart represented stability.
From handyman to honor student. That's not upgrade, that's rebranding the whole portfolio.
But the dynamic created something less visible. The person responsible for evaluating the property was now emotionally invested in the tenant. After months of isolation, Stuart reciprocated. At that point, the person evaluating the apartment condition was no longer neutral. In the beginning, the relationship felt easy. They spent evenings walking through nearby forests, unstructured time, no tension, no expectations. Stuart cooked for her, simple meals, prepared with care. They watched shows late into the night, candles lit, lights dimmed. At that stage, the apartment wasn't being evaluated. It was being lived in, but the environment changed.
Everything good until reality clocked back in.
Summer gave way to fall, and with it, new concerns. After their walks, they returned wet, and often with mud. Nina raised concerns about the wooden flooring. She described moisture and dirt as long-term damage risks. At first, the concerns were practical. When Stuart used the washing machine, the instructions became more specific. She insisted clothes be rinsed manually first, to remove debris, to protect the appliance. The focus shifted from living in the space to preserving it.
Man rent an apartment, but operating like maintenance staff.
Even their routines began to change. She raised concerns about open flames. Candles were no longer acceptable. Small comforts became liabilities. After meals, attention shifted to the kitchen. She monitored how the dishwasher was used. Plates needed to be pre-rinsed thoroughly. No food residue allowed inside the machine. Loading patterns were corrected repeatedly. What had been routine became procedural. Eventually, the dishwasher failed. It had been in use for years. The failure was not unexpected. Nina insisted Stuart should fix it. He declined. He explained it was not his responsibility and that he lacked the skills. That's when the comparisons started. She referenced her former partner, the handyman.
Stuart was easier to deal with, more structured. Dimitri got things done, but consistency wasn't his strength. I also hated all the gossiping.
He would have fixed it. The comment shifted the dynamic. This was no longer about maintenance. It became a comparison between roles Stuart had never agreed to take.
Man sign lease, not job application.
From that point forward, every interaction carried weight. The same person expressing dissatisfaction was responsible for documenting property condition. As the tension increased, communication decreased. Interactions became shorter, more procedural, less personal. One afternoon, Stuart came across something unexpected, a notebook. At first, it appeared routine, but the entries were detailed: dates, times, and descriptions of all his daily activities: floor condition after rain, washing machine usage, appliance handling. This was no longer observation. It was documentation, prepared in advance.
Man living life. Someone else writing report.
Further in the notebook, the entries changed. Scheduled appointments. One entry stood out: dishwasher machine check. It listed a location Stuart recognized, a roadside motel where he had stayed when he first arrived in town. The entry suggested coordination between maintenance and someone outside the tenancy, someone familiar with the property. In that moment, the situation became clear. This wasn't just a relationship deteriorating. It was a process already in motion. The documentation existed, the authority existed, and the outcome was already being shaped.
Game done before man even know him playing.
As the lease approached its final months, the tension increased. Arguments became frequent. Stuart recognized something critical. Ending the relationship could affect the deposit, so he adjusted his plan. Remote work for the final month, early departure back to his home state, and minimal confrontation.
Man try exit quietly, but silence don't protect money.
He left the apartment in good condition. No formal inspection was conducted. No neutral verification before control was transferred back to the landlord. When Stuart requested his deposit, the response was immediate.
Look, I liked Stuart, honestly, but business is business. If there's documented damage, it has to be covered.
The landlord cited documented damage based on reports provided by his daughter. He declined involvement in the personal relationship, but accepted its consequences as financial evidence.
So feelings private, but reports official.
Shortly after, Nina resumed her previous relationship. The repairs were handled internally. The same network that created the conflict benefited from the resolution.
Man lose gal, lose deposit, and fund a reunion. Full circle investment.
Stuart was now in another state. Legal action would exceed the deposit value. He didn't lose because he was careless. He lost because the system offered no neutral path.
Never date the person who hold your deposit. That's not love. That's prepaid risk. Contracts say tenant, lives say contestant.